This is a Black and Global Roots concert, and our main theme is cultural exchange and how creative that can be. And another thing, and I'm going to repeat myself a little bit for those of you who were here last week, but not as long. It's very interesting to look at the changing genres of traditional music. So the Native Americans were here, and there was interesting exchange among them that we know way too little about. And the Cherokee and the Catawba were particularly nearby. And at first, really, there was little musical exchange, probably because of the language differences. But later, there was more with sacred music. But anyhow, as the settlers began to arrive, the very first genre that arrived was unaccompanied singing. And that has puzzled me because down around the Piedmont and in the foothills, there are lots of string bands, but at the time I started coming up here, there were less. And that's partly because those ancestors left the old world so early. They left the UK before the fiddle had gotten there. And even the English agree that the fiddle didn't make it to England until 1650. So I think we're on strong ground there. And so then sort of the next genre that arrived was the solo fiddle playing. And the first Southern reference I know of is in Accomack, Virginia. An African-American fiddler played for whites to dance in 1690. And blacks actually were the first fiddle players because they had already learned to play the one-string fiddle in West Africa. And then even after they got here, they eventually built three-string fiddles, probably to accommodate some of the European melodic tunes. But when the Italian Stradivarius and Amati violins arrived, they just loved it. And they took off with those instruments and were doing the fiddling for, again, whites to dance from the coastal plain to, say, Monticello. Anyway, they were also influenced by some Italian music teachers as well. Anyway, then the next thing to arrive was the banjo, which came about another 40 years later. And through Maryland are the first references I know of. And then it was a gourd banjo when it arrived. And for almost 100 years, Africans and African Americans were the only ones who played that instrument. But then people like Joel Sweeney began to pick it up from their black neighbors and began to change the instrument a little bit. And then it went wild as a popular entertainment during the 1800s. So that's the short history. And then we get to the fiddle and banjo finally began to get together, and we can look in different places at different times and see when that happened. And then finally when the guitar became more widely available through mail order in the early 1900s, around the turn of the century, people were thrilled, and particularly black musicians also, because the guitar sustained the voice in a way that the banjo doesn't. And so we had a bunch of new genres appear then. One were the string bands, another was the blues, and the third was eventually country music. So there's the short history of traditional music preceding bluegrass, which you'll get to hear a lot of fabulous bluegrass tonight. And if you have any questions, please say so now. And anytime you want to ask Larry or Joe something, you're welcome to do that too. And I often ask musicians if they'll tell us a little bit about how they got impassioned by what they do, and maybe play a tiny solo or something. But we're going to just let Joe and Larry deal with that as they go through their concert. And here they come, the amazing Venezuelan duo with sturdy, rowdy harp and wild bluegrass banjo.
damas y caballeros, bienvenido a este show de Larillo, un viajecito por paisajes panamericanos. Para ti una casa bella que tenga lirios y claveles al entrar, que se cojan con la mano las estrellas, que se duerman con el ruido de la mar. Comprar para ti una casa bella que tenga lirios y claveles al entrar, donde se cojan con la mano las estrellas, donde se duerma con el ruido de la mar. En el celaje de tu perro centinela, hace la noche de la puerta a los balcones, con sus ladridos y sus ojos de candela. Deje chicas que se acerquen los ladrones, de podamos bailar este joropito, como se baila en todo el llano. De su ritmo pobre y trancaído, oyendo el arpa del maestro Figueredo. Quiero comprar para ti una casa bella que tenga nardos y claveles al entrar, donde se cojan con la mano las estrellas, donde se duerman con el ruido de la mar. Sin claves al entrar, se cojan con la mano las estrellas, donde se duerma